Hello, this is Tom, aka Jeddio, here for Tabletop Tap Room and the Star Frontiers Gamer. We got a lot of ground to cover today. We're going to hit three things. I'm going to give you an update on the fan magazine. From time to time, I get some queries, what's going on with that. So we're going to do an update on the fan magazine. We're going to promote a product from Mothership. It's a Mothership RPG horror sci-fi product. We're going to promote that during the course of this video, and I'm going to demonstrate a writing process that I use for creating new Star Frontiers content all the time. I am essentially about to give you my secret for 150 Star Frontiers adventures. You will be able to write, I believe, 100 from my idea. So let's get the big news out of the way. Star Frontiers fan magazine. What's going on? Well, I finally got a clarification on the thing that was hanging me up about the Wizards of the Coast fan policy. Number one, they would not answer my emails. And I don't know if part of that was the buffoonery going on in court, the Wizards of the Coast court case. Wizards of the Court. Right now, they are the Wizards of the Court, and they're casting Fireball on an upstart that squatted on their trademark. But that's another story. So Wizards of the Coast has not answered my emails. I had studied the website policy. That I had some questions that were hanging me up, and I finally got some clarifications, and we are going to move forward. And we will move forward until Wizards of the Coast says stop. And then we'll stop. And but in the meantime, we're going to move forward with some fan content, and we're going to do it according to their policy. And I believe we have worked out all the wrinkles for doing that. So earlier this year, we had assembled a full issue of the magazine earlier this year when Frontier Explorer ceased publishing, and then I had more content ready to go for issue 2, issue 3, but we've principally had a 40-something page issue ready to go, but we're kind of hanging up on making sure that we dotted I's and crossed the T's and got the proper permission to do this. And so when I got the clarification, all the material's there, and I contacted, hey, he's still interested in doing layouts. He's working on that right now. So we are moving forward with the fan magazine. It is going to be the Star Frontiersman Volume 2. And we're going to pick up with issue 26 because Star Frontiersman in its initial run went to issue 25. So we're going to pick up, we're going to do new logo, Star Frontiersman Volume 2, and we're going to do issue 26. That's where we're going. And we have some really cool material because people really stepped up. We had one individual did a deck plan, and then he turned around and he wrote a little piece of fiction to go with the deck plan. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It was a cool little piece of fiction. But the deck plan rocks. And then we had an artist, in fact, I believe it was AZ Gamer of DeviantArt, hand drew. He does a lot of CGI art. He hand drew this ship to go with this deck plan. So we've got this hand-drawn and colorized picture. I just think it's so cool. He doesn't do work like this very often. And I was like, I love it. That is so cool. And, we've used his art repeatedly over the years in the Star Frontiersman and Frontier Explorer. So he's an old hand. I know he's very busy right now, and he's going to be limited in his ability to help support us. But I'm so grateful that he did do that sketch of that ship that we're getting. And by the way, the ship that you're getting in the new issue, it's killer. It's a ship. There is no deck plan like this anywhere in the Frontier. in any fan source. If you went to the deck plan projects on starfrontiers.us, you would not find a deck plan like this. There is no deck plan like this in the Star Frontiersman, the Frontier Explorer. It just doesn't exist. But now it's going to exist, and you're going to have it, and you're going to be glad to have it because it's just cool. It's something unusual that has not existed in the Frontier. And so that's what I'm going to say about it. We have a whole theme for the issue. The deck plan is a part of that theme, plays into that whole theme. And so this issue is going to be the winter 2023 issue. The layout's being done now. I don't know if we can get it out before Christmas or before New Year's. So I'm predicting here in January in 2023. And we'll at least shortest path possible to having a PDF up on drive-through. And it'll be pay what you want. You know, if you want to put a tip on there to help support the organization, you know, that's great. If not, download it for free. But I'm predicting you're going to like having this issue of the Star Frontiersman Volume 2. We have a new mascot. We have all new material. We're having Frontier cartography. We're having Frontier jump routes. We're having deck plans. We're having adventures, new equipment, fiction. This is going to be a well-rounded magazine, and you're going to love it. So that's the magazine. Now, I want to give you my recipe for writing new adventures. Now, I'm playing Star Frontiers all the time. I'm writing Star Frontiers adventures, and sometimes you get in a rut, you know, and you know, if you're not playing the published modules, and those are all old, 40 years old at this point. If you're not playing those, what are you playing? Well, you got to write, you know, your own adventures. So how do I go about writing adventures? I have now stumbled upon a process and a resource that's going to, I believe, generate 150 adventures for me. And it is, and you're going to laugh, I am using Dungeon Magazine. You say, Tom, Dungeon Magazine, those are fantasy adventures. Yes, there are in my file folder on my computer 150 issues of Dungeon Magazine. Each one has 4 adventures, 4 Dungeons and Dragons adventures. And what I'm doing is as I'm reading each issue, I'm looking at each adventure, and I take the kernel of the idea in that adventure. I'm not necessarily taking the maps. I'm not necessarily taking the NPCs. I'm not necessarily taking all of the script from that adventure. I'm taking the kernel of the idea, and I'm asking myself, how will this play out in my setting, which is Star Frontiers? And so I've already written basically 3 of these adventures based off of 2 of them based off of Dungeon Magazine number 1. This is Dungeon Magazine number 2. And I want to point you in the direction of a particular adventure. I want you to check this out. This is the first adventure in Dungeon number 2. And, where can you get them? Well, they're on the auction sites. I got my collection, my hard copy collection, at a yard sale. I bought 30-gallon bin full of Dungeon and Dragon magazine. The Dragon, my eyes went big on Dragon magazine, but there was plenty of Dungeon magazines in there. 30-gallon bin, $10 at a yard sale. And then like another $5, and I bought the Time Master box set RPG. So it was very, you don't see that stuff at yard sales. So it was very much shut up and take my money. It's like, let me go dig in the cup holder in the car for a $5 bill. I'm leaving with this stuff. So that's where I got my hard copy. I have since gone to Anna Archive. You can Google Dungeon, Dragon Magazine number 92 PDF, and you look for the link for Anna Archive, and you can get into the Anna Archive and download all the Dragon magazines. You can get into Anna Archive and download the Dungeon magazines, and there's other stuff in there of interest. So I created a file of all of the Dungeon magazines I could, and I've been working my way through them and asking myself, how would this play out? Now, I want to talk about this Titan's Dream because I really think this has some mad potential for Star Frontiers. Basically, the Titan's Dream, the Titan is in this temple and he's dreaming, and the players there's some reason why they must go there. And when they step onto the floor of the temple, there's the temple. When you step onto the floor of the temple, mist surrounds you, and boom, wang, bang, boom, you're in the Titan's Dream. So what happens in the Titan's Dream is the Titan is dreaming about, so you can see this here. You have a tracking chart here, and you've got Dream 1, Dream 2, Dream 3, and then there's 5 acts. So each of these are a 5-act play. There's some action that's going to happen in each of these acts. And on this chart, it tells you set E, set D, set A, B, C, so on and so forth. So you know what to do with these 5 sets. The maps are provided, here. So there's 5 maps here, and the action for all 3 of these dreams takes place on these 5 sets. So you use these, and you play it out. Now, the way you have the tracking chart because you randomly determine which act and which dream the players will be in. And so it's very nonlinear. You can go out of order. You could do the end of the dream, and then you're back at the beginning of a different dream. Then you're back in that dream. And if you don't resolve the act, you will go back and redo it, because the Titan, he needs to resolve these 3 stories. And so if you don't resolve it while you're in there, that one's still in play when you dice to see which one comes up next. And the way the player characters will resolve it is they must, because it's D&D, they must do some good aligned act in that act of the play. And it could be as simple as praying over a wounded fighter. That's a good aligned act. That's a good thing. So that's considered a good thing. So if you did some good aligned thing, boom, you can resolve that and check that off of this table. So, and if you die, if you die in these acts, you disappear. And when the party finishes all 3 dreams, all 5 acts for all 3 dreams, the missed parts, they're on the floor of the temple, and there's the guy who died, dead, completely dead, must be resurrected or a wish spell to bring him back. So there is jeopardy here in this adventure. Now, I like this for Star Frontiers adventure because I like the idea of the player characters must enter the mind of somebody who's in a coma. This person won't come out of the coma. The doctors can't understand it. They don't understand why he won't come out of the coma. It could be that there's a piece of information this guy has. It must be obtained. Somebody's paying you to go in there and obtain it. And so he's reliving these 3 dreams because he's got unresolved issues. He's got a regret, some regret, some unresolved issue. Maybe he betrayed somebody. And so he's got unresolved issues in these 3 dreams. And you can shorten this. It doesn't have to be 5 acts. It could be 4. It could be 3. Whatever works for you. Now, what I want to recommend as a Star Frontiers fan is this is my PDF of the Crash on Volturnus module. And here is the poster map that came in the box set for Star Frontiers Alpha Dawn of Port Lauren. But on the back side of this map is all of these little tiles. What do these remind you of? Those little sets. So I would just totally use these as my sets. And if I'm, the Pirate Town, that's from the Volturnus module, um, the Volturnus Planet of Mystery, and most of these other sets take place in Crash on Volturnus. This one is from Star Spawn of Volturnus, the ruins, the Enora ruins. This is from Volturnus Planet of Mystery, the Outpost, the Pirate Outpost. And most of these others were used throughout the modules as a setting. I would just totally use these as my sets for this track. Why should I make something new? I'll just recycle what I got, right? And why not? Because my Star Frontiers game is set in the future. Volturnus campaign is the past. It's way in the past. So my player characters will never play the Volturnus trilogy, right? Well, what if the guy in the coma that you're, jacking in through the computer system to get into his coma, what if he was one of the people on the Volturnus campaign? And he's got some unresolved issue there. So, and that's the 3 dreams here, the 3 mod. So it'll be 5 set pieces from the 3 modules, and there's something to resolve there. Maybe he betrayed Colonel Jameson, the leader of the first Volturnus survey expedition. Something along those lines. Maybe there's a piece of information, he just did something wrong. And so the player characters are going into his unconscious dreams, his coma, one, to find a piece of information that can only be gotten from him, and it will turn up in one of these acts, probably more towards the end, and also maybe to help him resolve and come out of the coma. That would be a bonus. So you could have 2 goals for the player characters. And if the player characters were to die in the coma, jacked in, maybe they're not completely dead like they are in Titan's Dream, but instead they're kicked out and they wake up and they have a -10 penalty to their logic and their intuition. And this -10 penalty goes away 1 point at a time per week. So you have a consequence for getting killed in the dream, not being circumspect, not being careful, and you can go back in. The character could go back in, but if they die a second time, that's another 10-point penalty. Downgrading their logic and their intuition. So it becomes a long-term consequence. There's no real jeopardy, and the character's not going to die, but there is a real jeopardy. There is a real consequence. But you could do a little what happens if we die in there? Well, you might be dead. I don't know. We've never done this before. You have an NPC say something along those lines, and make the players worry a little bit. So that's this. That's this tracking chart from the Titan's Dream. Now, there's one other thing I want to recommend, and that's this one-shot for Mothership, which is a sci-fi horror RPG. And I bought this, and I was like, this is really cool. This Hideo's World has a lot of ideas that you can mesh with that Titan's Dream. Because in here, you have a programmer hacker who has created a world, and he withdrew to that world, but he's kind of in a coma now, and that world is breaking down. And the players must go in there to resolve some issue. While they're in there, they could run into hackers because this guy was famous. And so there are hackers out there who found a back door. So they come in and they mess around in there. And they might be part of the problem with the world breaking down. And but there's really good ideas here. So I recommend this Mothership Hideo's World product, mostly because it's got, number one, it's got fantastic ideas for doing this kind of adventure, but it's also only $2 on drive-thru. And if you catch a good sale, if you catch a sale, you might get it for like $1.25, which is what I think I paid for it. So, I mean, but I mean, what's $2? It's a cup of coffee. It's less than a cup of coffee. So definitely a good resource for that Titan's Dream kind of adventure. Certainly some really interesting ideas in there that you can use, and maybe use them and port them over to that Titan's Dream kind of adventure. And on top of that, you get the fun of actually playing the Volturnus campaign without it being too serious. We're not playing this to be serious, but we are kind of getting to play it. And it's, we're not really there to resolve the Volturnus campaign per se. We're there to get a piece of information. And maybe if we can help this character, this NPC, resolve some unresolved issue he's got, some guilt that goes along with that. And so that becomes what the real mission is. The Volturnus campaign is just the backdrop. So that's my update on the magazine. Magazine's coming, and I'm excited about it. And you're going to love the deck plan that's coming with the magazine. Unique. Doesn't exist in the Frontier anywhere. You could go on the deck plan. I'm telling you, you can go on starfrontiers.us. You can go in the magazines. It is unique, and I'm excited about that. And the deck plan is well done. Steve did a bang up job on it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I love it. And I think you're going to love it too. You've now seen what I'm mining for adventures, and I'm converting them right over to sci-fi adventures, at least one per issue of Dungeon magazine. And basically, all you do is ask yourself, how does this play out in my setting? And, this is something I do all the time as a writer for the fan magazines. I'm always some news at the back of my head. I'm watching the news and I'm thinking, all right, how does that play out in the Frontier? How would that exist in the Frontier? How would that go down in the Frontier? And so I'm always asking myself those questions, and I'm constantly writing new content for the magazines that way. And it's just the same process with Dungeon magazine. How would this play out? And it's just that simple. You take the kernel of the idea and say, all right, this is how I would do it in my setting. And Mothership's got some cool stuff. Plus it's horror. It's leaning into the whole Aliens and some of the Predator franchise a little bit there, and I kind of like that. So the Hideo's World is a great looking one page. It's you fold it up like a brochure, like a trifold brochure, and I think it's extremely usable. At the very least, to mine for ideas for this Titan's Dream idea. Except, of course, we wouldn't call it Titan's Dream in Star Frontiers. We'd call it, Dreams of Volturnus, maybe. I don't know. But that's where I would go with that. And so that's what I'm doing, using a Mothership product, using Dungeon magazine. And I'm also here saying, stay tuned. Magazine's coming. Going to be here in January. So this is Tom for Tabletop Taproom and Star Frontiers Gamer. I want to thank you for watching my video. I want to thank my subscribers. You guys are great. And if you have not subscribed, please do consider hitting the like, subscribe, and bell icon and help me build the channel. And I will see you in the Frontier.